not record to the cloud. Okay. All right. So my name is Lauren Turner. I just moved to Georgia last year. So I've been in Cobb County for 1 year, teaching fourth grade, which is a new grade to me. I came from kindergarten and spent about 8 years there departmentalizing in math and science. So now I departmentalize and still in math and science and social studies, but at the fourth grade level. So this is my second semester at UWG. So it's pretty great. Like, I didn't realize how different the two states were. Like in Florida, nobody really has their masters or is going for their masters, because there's just like the pay is not any different. There's no real incentive to do it. So like moving here, everyone was like, oh my gosh, you've got to get your master's because like there's so many benefits that come along with it. So that's why I'm here. And it's been really good so far. So let's see, Amy, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Amy Cruz. I am a Georgia native. I'm from Douglasville, went to Jacksonville State for my bachelor's and my first master's degree. My first master's degree was in history. So got me the job, but of course, they're encouraging me to get my actual certification. So that's why I'm pursuing my MAT. This is also my second semester at West Georgia. This is my fourth year at Lithia Springs High School in Douglas County. I teach world history. The first 2 years, it was predominantly 10th graders, but Georgia switched the curriculum up. And so now it is 9th graders, but I love them. I can't see myself doing anything else, but like Lauren said, that pay, it's worth it. People always tell me when they hear I'm doing this master's, like, oh, that I'm like, I'm already getting the master's pay. And I'm pretty much just doing this to get a job I already have. But, we're not gonna, dwell on that.
Awesome. Chastity, you want to go next?
All right, yeah, no problem. Hi, everybody. My name is Chastity Hughley. I am from Decatur, Georgia. I am a Georgia native as well. I teach not too far from my house, so that's perfect. I teach fourth grade now at Barack Obama Elementary Magnet School of Technology in DeKalb County, and I teach fourth grade magnet. Last year, I taught third grade, so I've looped up with my babies from last year, which has been such a cool experience. I went to the University of Georgia for my bachelor's and studied early childhood education, and I am closing up and wrapping up with my master's, of course, here with you all at the University of West Georgia. I don't know what else to kind of spill, but yeah, that's it.
Philip, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't hear you. You see, my name is Philip Babb. I'm a high school history teacher. I teach U.S. history and world history. World's my favorite. I am from Coweta County, but I teach in Polk County. And I'm getting my specialist, and this is my second semester at West Georgia as well. And so I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Chelsea, can you unmute? Are you okay to do that?
Yes, I can hear you. I am Chelsea, just like Amy. I work in Douglasville, Georgia as well. Yes, I'm at one of the middle schools in Douglasville. I'm at Story Middle School. I've been here about 5 years. I started out teaching high school in Clayton County. I also been coaching cheer here for about 5 years. I teach the 8th grade mathematics and algebra 1 class here at Story Middle School. I have a bachelor's in mathematics. I have my MAT, which I got both of those from Georgia State. And now I'm at West Georgia, finishing up my last semester for my specialist program. Yes.
Awesome. All right. So it sounds like we either have we're kind of all over the place, right? Like some fourth grade, some early childhood, some high school experience. So that's kind of an interesting mix to be able to talk about feedback, I guess. So I guess I can pull up the kind of the conversation starters. Is there anybody that had something that immediately they wanted to talk about or say, or kind of their take on the information this week?
I think the most important thing that I got from the information was it would like feed into number 2 on the conversation starter. What does effective feedback look like and why is this so important? So, we learned that effective feedback is specific, offer targeted feedback. It's very, very helpful for the children. Offer it in a timely manner. I mean, I want to say, that is obvious, but, some teachers, don't even do, grades on time. So they're not going to be able to even offer these children feedback on time. And then you also need to be able to give students a chance to demonstrate the feedback. So don't just give them the feedback and close the book. You need to, allow them to practice or give them another chance to show that they've heard your feedback.
Yeah,
I would.
Go ahead, Philip.
I was going to say I'd agree with everything that Amy said. Just the importance of feedback, and I think how I know as a high school teacher, I have 6 classes, comes out to be about 160 students, and providing meaningful feedback to that number of students is absolutely challenging. And I think something that has helped teachers provide feedback is just the new technology tools that we have, things that can automatically grade things and give students that immediate feedback. Here's the answer. And if they pick the wrong answer, feedback can be built into a test, a quiz, or any other kind of assignment. And I think the technology today has really helped teachers get better at that feedback.
Can I elaborate on what Phil talked about? I'm big on using technology in my classroom too. A couple of things, I guess this kind of relate to some other questions. One of the other focus questions that she gave us. But I've used a lot of technology to do feedback, especially like Jamboards, allowing them to see it in real time. And also I use my error analysis as feedback too in my classroom, especially with math. And Padlet has been such a great tool, kind of do like a class discussion as well.
So do you give them feedback on Padlet directly?
I kind of interact with them on Padlet as well as they're interacting too. So it's kind of like having a text, since they like use text type of thing, since that's what they're used to on social media and everything.
Like a group chat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chelsea, I just kind of want to piggyback off you and Philip both, and Amy as well in some bases, because I teach, which I didn't mention earlier, but I teach science and social studies to all of 4th grade magnet. So it's 3 different classes with 30 students. And our magnet program is technology based. So everything that we're doing is centered around technology. However, since the pandemic, I've been trying to kind of keep the brick and mortar, like providing, that paper to pencil realistic type of scenario. But like you stated, Philip, it's been really hard to kind of give, effective feedback with 90 something odd papers to grade. So using the technology has been critical and really pivotal in my being timely, as Amy said, as far as like giving feedback. Like when I first started out, I used to just get lots of papers and get overwhelmed and not really do that. So I've started to be very intentional with how I'm, delivering that work and getting them feedback, because it is so crucial. And like you said, Chelsea, I love Padlet and Jamboard. I love Padlet. Like we use the brick wall a lot too, to kind of keep, it like very like, text friendly and stuff like that for them. But even with them posting on their own, we do a trivia question and they come in and they get to kind of answer on Padlet and see everybody, and we go, over it as a live class, but they really enjoy that. So the technology has really helped with being timely and managing and making it so that it is, effective and something that they can keep using.
I totally agree with that. Like I haven't had the probably the years, definitely not the years of the 4th grade experience like you have. So it was a big jump to be going from feedback in kindergarten, which is like we're not grading like papers, definitely not like a lot of worksheets. It's all that immediate feedback. So it's kind of like those quick checks, like almost more like formative assessments constantly. Like all my kindergarten students love the show me your board. So it's like we're doing work on a whiteboard. They can show it to me right away and like everything's in real time. And then they go back. They can see right away if they're right or they're wrong or how they need to fix it. But like there wasn't this mountain of written work that I kind of have now that I need to provide written feedback on and try to do it in a timely manner versus like my kids now, we still do kind of do stuff, activities like that, but it's not like for the necessarily like for a grade book. So like now coming into 4th grade, we have that ABCD grading scale, and the parents have that shift from 3rd to 4th grade in our county. I don't know how it is in Douglasville and where you guys are, but like we go from K through 3 has 1, 2, 3s, and then 4th and 5th grade, they have actual letter grades. And that's what the parents are mostly familiar with. So when they're not used to seeing that letter grade, like that C for a lot of parents, they kind of start to have an immediate reaction. So it's kind of almost useless to provide feedback at that point. You have to really do it either immediately or within the day or the week, just to prevent everyone from being upset even.
Well,
Yeah.
I had bad internet access, so I kind of missed what Chastity said, but building off what you said, I think feedback, we often think of the student and that's the number one priority, but parents want the feedback just as much as the students do. And it does help the parents see, well, this is how their child is doing along the way. And they're not surprised at the end when they see, oh, my child has a C, why? They're able to see the growth of their child.
Right. I also think too, like you said, Philip, in order to kind of not hold the parents accountable, but, keep that fluid connection between teacher, student, parent, and everybody playing their part, we have to keep them up to date with what's going on. And we can't just put it all on the students to get that to them. So I think you're head on with providing students and parents that feedback. One of the questions that I felt like really stuck out to me was group work or under group work. The first question, why do you think teachers often avoid grading group work? So I'm one of those, like, I probably would have avoided grading group work. I'm like, it's not really there that I'm able to see who did what and kind of give, an accurate grade for who. So what I've started doing is having my students give peer feedback, and then that helps me generate a grade off of the product that they've presented, and then that introspection about like, okay, who did what and how does everybody feel collectively about them. So it's like a 50 for what they're doing, and then the other 50 for what their peers feel like they have done. And that has made grading group work like seamless, and I'm always doing group work that is now effective, and it's kind of displayed throughout the classroom, not necessarily like I'll block out their names, but it does show that their peers are grading themselves too. And I think that holds the students up to a higher standard of performance wise, because they know that it's not just their teacher grade, but their classmates are going to see what they're producing. So I think it's just all in all been life-changing. So that's one of the questions that I'm like, since then I do group work all the time now.
Chastity, that is one of my things too. I started that a lot this year too, because we usually do this murder mystery project as a class, and I allow them to create a newscast. So I'll give them like a little rubric, and they don't have to write who graded it, but I have to give them a rubric for everybody in their group, and they have to grade it, so that way they don't know, and I attach it to their final grade report. So that is very much helpful and easier when grading group work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm glad y'all get that response, because in high school, it's kind of either I feel like kids, they don't want to be like the tattletale. So like I'm not an idiot. I can see who's working and who's not working. My class is set up with groups. I have 8 groups of 4. I just don't like the rows, and it doesn't do it for me. So we all have the groups. When we do group work, like I said, like I can see who's working and who's not. But when I pass out those individual rubrics, they'll sit there and lie, and they'll say like, oh, 5, 5, 5 for Duncan. Duncan did absolutely nothing. So why are you giving him this? Because, they don't want to be that, tattletale. But again, I have 9th graders. They seem very apathetic to everything. They just don't care about much. It's hard, getting them to engage. But I do a lot of group work. I love arts and crafts. I try to tell them all the time, like, if you do not come into my room thinking like, oh, I'm a 9th grader, I'm not a kid anymore, because I have arts and crafts buckets on each table. Like, we do stuff all the time. So I'm lucky that works for you guys.
I'm wondering, like, so I'm thinking about that, and like I've seen kind of like the peer rubrics being used. Would it be effective if the students had to write down their own responsibilities? Like, these are the things I did in Amy, and like in your situation, like it can't just be like, oh, this is my friend and I don't want him to be mad at me, so he's going to get all 5s. Like, you need to write down what exactly, how he contributed, in what way did he help the group, what did he accomplish, what was he responsible for? Like, I've seen those in those rubrics too, where you have to write down, I did this part of the project, whether it's making the poster or finding the research on this person or whatever it is. Like, just a way to be like self-accountable versus just relying on your peers to grade you too. Has anybody used anything like that, or like they've had to kind of self-report?
Yeah,
Yeah,
my rubrics have role on them. So like, instead of a name, you're putting your role. So that's what I do. Sorry, Philip, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I do the same thing, is that it's clear from the beginning who has what job. And the idea is that you all have your clear individual job. Don't let your group down, because when the final product is turned in, it is going to be clear who didn't do their job. So, and sometimes I pick my student groups. Sometimes I let them pick their own groups. And if they pick their own groups, I tell them like, don't be a bad partner. If you have a bad partner, kick them out, don't be shy. But I think by giving them clear individual roles, you are more aware of what that student is responsible for, and you can provide that feedback for them on that specific role, rather than just kind of as well, y'all worked on this, here's how y'all did it collectively, but you can also focus on how they did individually.
And these kids are notorious for gaslighting. They'll sit there and say, I did this. And it's like, you did absolutely nothing, but we don't, we can't put energy into things like that.
So one of the things I think it says, sharing something you've learned about feedback. I found it interesting on like the list of 20 items or 20 suggestions about feedback was that to hand back papers at the beginning of class. I've never done that ever. Like, I've always kind of waited to the end, and I guess I don't really know why that is, why I've waited, but I almost like don't want to have like 20 kids rush at me, or 20 or more kids rush at me asking questions at the same time. Even though, I guess that would be not a terrible thing, but like I've always tended to wait until the end. It's like, okay, like kind of like go home, think about this review. If you don't agree or whatever, then maybe I'll get like a question or an email the next day or whatever the case might be. But just having it be a distraction for class, I almost was kind of like, I wonder how that would look in reality. Like, that might be something I could try in the future. Have any of you tried handing back? I have mailboxes for my homeroom, but for my afternoon class that comes in, I just hand back all of their papers or all of their tests or everything kind of individually, since they don't have that system. Has anybody kind of dealt with that?
I'll say that closest thing that I've done to that would be our like spiral review at the beginning of class. And that was something that they would do, you know, daily. So they would be able to kind of self-assess, and we would go over it in the morning, like or not in the morning, but the beginning of the class. And they have, you know, purple pen to kind of correct themselves during that time. But that would be the closest thing to that. I do like the idea of kind of like handing back, you know, and starting the day like with a recap or refresher of what has taken place the day before. I know another thing would be like if they completed an exit ticket, which is pretty much the same thing the day before, then the next day they would kind of get that back at the start of class, and that would kind of segue us into the day. But that's only, you know, when the lessons are seamlessly following off of each other. I flip-flop from science to social studies, so that happens sometimes. But yeah, that would be the only thing that I could really think of that would be similar to that. But I do like the seamlessness from, you know, recapping the day before to starting the day ahead.
I also use Fire Activators too. It's kind of like a school-wide thing. But also like on quiz day, like I'll sometimes give the quiz back the day after. So get them to maybe a couple minutes to review what they got wrong, and we'll discuss like, because I usually filter through it to see what questions was missed the most, and we'll give feedback that way. Also, like Chassie said, exit tickets. With math, I'm big on error analysis so they can analyze their own misconceptions. And that's how we kind of go into feedback and transition into our new topics as well.
Another thing that we do at my school, it's not necessarily anything to do with giving anything back at the beginning of class, but every Monday we have like a review Monday. Every Monday we do. It's every Monday. Anyhow, with that, students usually take pre and post tests, or they might have benchmarks, and we use a system named Illuminate, and Illuminate prints out a matrix report, and you can go through and kind of see what standard and the percentage of the class that, you know, got it correct or wrong. So anything that's like below 60%, I am usually going back to kind of use that as our recap on that Monday to kind of review not only these questions, but other questions like it to really hone in on mastering that skill. So that's something that has been very beneficial. We just started that this year. So that's been extremely beneficial as it relates to their progression from, you know, pre-test to post-test, that recap Monday.
I was going to say we use, my school has been using Illuminate as well, and do the same thing. Like you can see the standard, you can see the question, and if a question just gets bombed, it does help that number one, the students can get the feedback, and then you can basically use that assessment to drive your instruction to continue. You know, that is feedback, so that you can say, well, this is what you're not getting, this is what we need to focus on again. And I think something that talking about the 20 ways of feedback is, you know, I like getting feedback from students about, you know, what can I do to help them. You know, I would never claim to be, you know, the best teacher in the world. And, you know, this is my 9th year teaching, and I can say that even just in 9 years, students are different from when I first started teaching to now. And, you know, so what I may have done the first couple of years of teaching is different. So as teachers, we constantly have to adapt. And I think getting honest feedback from students on what works for them, and a lot of times they're pretty honest, you know, I mean, but, you know, getting feedback from students can help teachers, you know, keep meeting the needs of those students.
Yeah, I got from the feedback, from the resources that what I used to offer feedback on was stuff that I was trying new. So I found an escape room on Teacher Pay Teachers. It's the first time I'm trying it with the kids, so I'm asking about it. But then it kind of hit me like everything you do with these kids is new to them. So I need to ask for feedback on stuff always, not just when I do things that are new to me, because it made me do new to me. I've been doing it in my, stuff in my classes for the past 4 years, but these set of students, they've never experienced this assignment or activity or test. So that's what I'm going to try to do. That's what I took from the resources that our professor offered us. Offer it always, not just when it's something new that we have.
I really like that, Amy. That's really, good perspective when you think about it like that. Like, it might be very repetitive for us. I say that all the time. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I just did this. It seems like, but I do it and the kids are like, I love this. Can we do more of this? So, but being very consistent with asking for that feedback all the time. So very great perspective. Have to take that.
That's the word, consistency. Yes.
Yeah.
I also do a teacher feedback at the end of the year. I have them evaluate me as a teacher and evaluate the class to see what could possibly adjust it for next year, or just the things that I could change, or I don't know. And I do one at the beginning of the year too.
That's one of my favorite things. And I always add, what was your favorite memory about this class? Because, ninth grade, Lithia, I have some of the wildest, funniest kids ever, and stuff is always going on. So I always add at the bottom, like, what was your funniest or favorite memory about this semester? And I love reading through them. Like, I totally forgot that even happened. That was such a crazy afternoon. So that's always a cute idea.
We kind of did the same thing at last year. So it was like, kind of like writing a note to the future students of 4th grade. Like, what are some things to look forward to? Like, what was your favorite memory? What would you tell the new students about, Ms. Turner? And it's like, that was very eye-opening. Like, the things that they caught on to that, like, you thought, oh, that's no big deal or whatever. They're like, oh, you need to make sure she has her coffee in the morning before you start to go ask, like, just like silly stuff that, like, you think they don't really notice all of that, but it's like, oh yeah, they do. But I think that's really interesting, Chelsea, because like, I think that's a really good idea and would help me reflect better, because like, when I think things might not be going so well, they might be having a great time. Like, I think that in a lot of ways, like, I'm used to kids who are much more verbal about, this is the best day ever. Like, when a kindergartner says like, this is the best day ever, you're doing your job. Like, that they're learning a lot, they're getting a lot out of it. But like 4th graders moving on up, I'm like, are you having fun? Like, you're so like even keeled. Like, I'm not sure. Like, you just said a field trip was boring, so I don't really know how to entertain this. Like, it is a different world. I mean, like, they're probably on the same maturity level, but like, I don't really know how to interpret a lot of what they like. So I think asking for that feedback going forward, I mean, kind of in that letter form, but in a more like, so Chelsea, like, do you have them do you make up your own questions, or is there like a form that you use? How do you present that to them?
I try to do it differently. Like, at the beginning of the year, it's kind of like a conversation. Towards the end of the year, since we don't have laptops, I might do like an index card, maybe post a couple questions. This year I want to try to do something different, because I think I want to keep it to where I can make it visible, maybe an open house when the parents come in or something. But I usually do it like on a note card, just for me to have for my sake.
Okay, we hung ours up. Like, they were actually like letter form, and they were kind of like our starter bulletin board thing at the beginning of the year. So, I mean, I read through them all. They were pretty lengthy to make sure like what I was hanging up on the outside wall for all the parents to read. But I think like having a more concise way to like kind of sum it up would be good too.
I'm thinking about Padlet as an option too. So.
Yeah, because you can download the Padlets as PDFs and keep them. I really like this idea. I like you, Lauren, like I've seen them online, like letters to, future well, it will be fourth graders. I'm about to say third graders, future, third graders, fourth graders, but I've never done them. And the idea that that's, really feedback for me, because I love to be self-reflective, but to have that from them is, I'm sure will be life-changing too, because my kids are very observant, and especially with us now having like 2 years together, like they're very observant. So I would love to hear what they'd have to say about, their teachers. So that's really cool. I like that idea a lot. I was over here writing that down, like, okay, make sure you get that. So I like that.
There's a great PDF.
Right. Another thing that I saw on the 20 effective feedbacks was the number 19, provide a model or example. For our bulletin boards in our classrooms, when we are displaying student work, we have to have an exemplar of what the work should be, if the student was to make 100. So we have to have some type of example up to, not necessarily to, I guess it would be to compare it to as we're displaying student work. So that's something that our students, which I never really thought about that again as being feedback, but in all actuality, it really is. It shows them, what their should look like, or, and without that explicit feedback from the teacher, it gives it there in the example for them to kind of make an analysis of what they could do better. And even for the students' work who isn't displayed, it gives them that feedback too about what it should look like. So that's something that we have to put up when displaying student work. So that's interesting to think that that's consistent feedback for my students.
Yeah, and I really agree with that point, that students need good models of, this is, to be able to assess, in a lot of ways, self-assess, this is what I can do, or this is the end goal that I have in mind. I know that with reading and writing, if you want to be better at reading, or you want to become a better writer, well, read good writing. By engaging with good examples, you are able to work towards that. And it doesn't mean you have to copy that. But you do see, what that goal is. So I really agree with that.
We had a really cute, I don't know the word, like thing during like pre-planning. We all go to the media center, all the teachers, and they were like, okay, you have a Post-it note and a pencil, draw a butterfly. So, we just all like drew a butterfly. And then when the timer was up, they were just like, all right, you get points off if you didn't draw a face on your butterfly. You get points off if you didn't draw an antenna, if you didn't decorate the wings, if you didn't draw this, like 2 sections of the body. And like, we're all getting upset. Like, you didn't say that. You said draw a butterfly. And so like, the whole point was you have to model and be very specific of what you want, or your expectations for the kids. So that reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's really true. I had a sub just yesterday. I had like a meeting all day, and I left an exemplar what the decimals project was supposed to look like. And I kid you not, when I came in this morning, even with that exemplar, like some kids had cut up physically cut up their paper. I'm going, how? And and one of my students is like, it's kind of disappointed he has to redo it. I'm going, where did you see that, buddy? Like, where on this paper that I have here? It was about hundredths. So there was a 10 by 10 grid, and they had to color it in and then write the fraction and write the matching decimal. And it was supposed to be sub work. I mean, it was supposed to be very simple, fun, not a lot of questions. But then I don't know, like there was either a gap in the explanation, and then you have to go back and again reflect, like, was my explanation incorrect? Like where was the miscommunication of, maybe don't cut up your whole grid, because then you don't really have a fraction showing hundredths at all. I mean, I guess, and then so we had to go back, is this hundredths? I mean, so it became reflective for me, one, and then for him also to go over the standard, but then to me being like, okay, maybe I wasn't as explicit as I thought I was. So taking that kind of feedback, I need to either redo my lesson plans, redo my sub plans, or just explain it better next time on my exemplar. Oh, Philip, I just got your chat.
Yeah, it is
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
For real.
If she ever wants us to record a 30-minute conversation about subs, I can give her an hour. I promise you that. I
2
will put
hours.
her on my deathbed.
I'm always interested in how's my room going to be rearranged? Like, what in the world, you know?
It's
You
awful.
know,
Like-
Amy, we have, Douglas County, we can see as long as we're on campus.
Mhm.
You
what
can
goes on in
see?
the class. Yes, we have cameras.
In your
Oh, we don't-
classroom?
Oh yeah, I have cameras in my classroom. So
Oh.
if say I'm at a meeting, a math meeting at Lithia, as long as I'm connected to the district's Wi-Fi, I can watch the kids while they're in class. I can chat with them, everything.
Oh,
That
you
is
know, we're we're getting a new school. So I always tell people if something happens, they ain't fixing nothing in the school. They're
You're
not.
right,
We
I
don't have
forgot, yes.
cameras. I would love that. But also the kids tell everything. The kids be like, she was on her phone the whole time. She had your lights on. It's like blasphemy to them when a sub turns the lights on because I have 1,000 lamps. And they'll tell us everything that went down.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And she's a great sub. Like I've had her before. She's fantastic. I don't know what happened yesterday. Yesterday was definitely out of the norm, but I can't even imagine being able to like actually have a bird's eye view and see what's going on in my classroom in real time. Like I'm just happy that my classroom's not actually leaking a flood anymore anytime it rains. So I'm thrilled about that. And it didn't test positive for mold, but I'm getting off topic, but I'm good. I'm good. I can't even imagine having cameras. That's fantastic. They can't even lie about it. That's great. Well, I mean, we're at time, but is there anything else anybody wanted to add or say?
Sorry, guys, my computer died and I thought my computer was invincible. So I didn't charge it up till it died. So sorry about that. I hope I didn't miss too much.
We were just venting about subs. Do you have anything you want to add?
About who?
Substitutes.
Oh my God.
Same.
So for the 3 weeks in March, I was out of work because I had 2 herniated discs and it was very abrupt. I'm in a yoga teacher training class. And I think in between that and just the practice of yoga, I have done something to my back. Anyhow, I unexpectedly had 2 herniated discs and I was out for a while. I come back, my refrigerator has protein shakes in it. The refrigerator part where I store drinks is broken. The microwave is splattered. I'm just like, what is going on in here? And that's all the food stuff, not to mention what my kids told me. They were like, the sub just sat on her phone and then says, you guys should be lucky I'm letting you all do whatever you want, because if your teacher was here, you would not be able to do this. And then they go, but she was young. And they said she was just finishing college, so maybe she just doesn't know. And then one girl goes, she wasn't teaching us anything. I was like, so my kids are tired of subs. I'm done with subs. I told my coworker, I was like, don't worry, I'll be here every day for the rest of the school year. I'm not taking at all because I'm petrified of another sub coming in and messing up. I'm like, how do you break the holder for in a little bitty refrigerator? So terrible, tired of the subs. And then one sub I had before was cussing at the kids and she was banned from even being able to come back. So yeah, I have had enough with subs. I'm just gonna try not to be off.
The last time I was gone, I had a full 36 pack of feminine hygiene project. They were all gone. This lady took all of them. I was like, thank you. Thanks. Appreciate that. Awful. Just like Chastity said, I will be in here on my deathbed.
Walgreens or Target.
Right. I was like, I will be in here on my deathbed. If I'm sick, the kids are getting sick too. Instead of calling a sub, it's not happening.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I come
Maybe
back
that's the tactic. They want awful, horrible subs so we don't call out. Honestly, we just figured them out. That's what it is. They tell subs, go in there, trash the room, don't make the kids do anything. That's got to be it. But I enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, you guys, I'm so glad I met a fellow Douglas County teacher.
Yes.
That's always interesting. But you guys are very impressive. I think we have a great
Likewise.
group. Yeah, and good luck. What we have after this, it's just our field interview, and we're
Mhm.
done.
Now, final
already got
paper, that's it.
And then we got
Yeah.
a paper.
Yeah, it's already. I kind of already did my final paper. I'm not gonna submit it till it's due, but oh, this is recording. Hey.
Well, it's about what you learn. Like you've learned a
Right,
lot so
right.
far. I get it. I read the description. I don't blame you.
No, I love this class. I'm a fan. I'm so sorry. Is it Professor McChargue? McCharge?
Dr.
Dr. McCharge
Oh,
is how I would
McCharge?
assume.
It's spelled
I'm not
argue.
sure.
McChargue.
Yeah.
I've been saying Machargu.
McChargue. Okay.
I don't know if that's right. I just see.
I'm a fan of
Google.
her. 10 out of 10 on Rate My Professor.
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely.
I
I
always
bet after
have been
watching this
checking that.
video, she'll create a video explaining how to say her name.
I think it's in
I've been
the, it's in
saying
the
McCartney.
introduction. She did an
Yeah.
introduction video.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure did.
yeah.
Sure did. She did.
He
She was very,
did.
yeah, good about that.
Either way,
It was
she
really
gets a
nice.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely 10 out of 10. I totally agree. And so are you all. I enjoyed chatting with you all. So yeah.
I appreciate it. I'll go ahead. I'll stop recording and then I'll download it. I'll send it out to everybody in the group and I'll submit it and just make sure everybody's name's on it. So we should be good. I'll make sure it's submitted and or sent, and then I guess we all have to submit individually. So I'll stop recording, download, and then send it through email.
Well, I think someone just has to post a link on the group page.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
right.
And
I'll
thank
make
you,
sure
Lauren,
it's
for
Yeah, thank
Thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Philip, for sending out the email in the right
Yeah.
format.
Yes.
So,
Thank you,
All
Philip.
right.
that was
Right.
super helpful. I
Y'all enjoy
appreciate
your
it.
afternoon.
Have a
It
good
was nice to
evening.
see you guys.
Thank
Bye.
y'all.